Dr. Joseph Wong, renowned facial plastic surgeon, has traveled the world trying to make children smile. How? Through his organization Smile China. Dr. Wong has worked with hundreds of children with cleft palates, correcting their facial structures and helping them find laughter again. Born and raised in Hong Kong, he immigrated to Canada in his teens after attending the University of Toronto for his undergraduate and medical education. He found his calling in the field of plastic and reconstructive surgery. Dr. Wong did his fellowship training with one of the world's leading experts in cleft lip and palate repair, Dr. Takua Onizuka. Currently, he practices in Mississauga and is the director of the head and neck facial plastic surgery at the Credit Valley Hospital. He is also only one of 2 Canadians on the editorial board of the medical journal, The Archives of Facial Plastic Surgery. As part of his continuously ongoing volunteer work, Dr. Wong also co-chairs the Peel Region Capital Campaign for the Yi Hong Wellness Foundation for Geriatric Care and is the co-founder of the Mississauga Board of Chinese Professionals and Businesses. The local community appreciates his work. He received the Ontario Medal of Good Citizenship and the Queen Elizabeth Canada Golden Jubilee Medal. Despite all his work, his first priority remains his family. His wife and children have been his biggest supporters along his journey. After the break, I'll talk one-on-one with Dr. Joseph Wong. Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Bina Pandya, and joining me today I have world-renowned and award-winning facial plastic surgeon, Dr. Joseph Wong. Dr. Wong, welcome to One-on-One.
Hi, Bina. Thank you for inviting me here.
Well, Dr. Wong, you are a plastic surgeon right now, which is probably every woman's fantasy, to be sitting with one. What got you interested in medicine?
Well, when I was going through undergrad and I was just doing my undergrad at University of Toronto at the time,
right.
and that was the in thing to do, and I wasn't sure. Actually, I wasn't quite sure what I really wanted to do, but I got pretty good marks, and looks like it's almost like peer pressure. Everybody who got good marks wanted to apply for medicine.
Right.
And in fact, my family was against me getting into medicine.
They were against you?
No, my family, we were the first generation of entrepreneur immigrants. My family was still doing industry and business in Hong Kong. And I remember calling my mom, and she asked me to do business instead of doing medicine. But I like to do things with my hands, and I like the variety of options in medicine, so I chose to do medicine.
And I think you grew up, I understand, in Hong Kong, but what brought you initially here to Canada?
Right, I grew up in Hong Kong. I did most of my high school there. I think Hong Kong at the time was in transition. There was a lot of political turmoil. And my parents wanted us to have a chance to go to the world and see what the world is like.
Right.
And there was an opportunity in Canada at the time that they actually welcome non-European immigrants. I believe you have to pay $150,000 as a family just to come in.
So that's how your family came
That's
here?
right, as an entrepreneur. And in those days, to buy a house is like $50,000.
Right.
Anyway, we settled, and the parents went back and continued with their business. And then I had been taking care of my sisters, and I have 3 other sisters, and we actually had a great time when growing up in Canada. I finished my high school here, and then I attended University of Toronto.
Now, once you finished becoming a doctor, you decided to go on further into plastic surgery. Why that area?
I always thought that I would like to work with my hands, and I think I did better in surgery than in medicine. And also during that younger days, I was more adventurous. I like to travel to different parts of the world. I remember vividly at one time I was in a very remote part of China. It was in the what they call the 10,000 mountains in Guangxi, where you mingle with the minorities. And I was just in this flea market, and I saw a fair number of teenage girls had obvious facial deformities and cleft lip deformity. And I was very curious because in Canada you don't see them walking around; they will be repaired. So I asked them, why didn't they have the problem repaired? And the answer almost always unanimous. I'm a farmer girl. I'm from the farm. So that tone of, as a matter of factly, that tone of hopelessness had a profound impact of injustice in me. And I look, I say, maybe I wish I could do something.
Right.
Then it then went on. I gone through different surgical training. Initially, I gone through some general surgery training, and I thought if it's in the oral cavity in the lip, it would be doing ear, nose, and throat and head and neck surgery training, which I finished. Then I wanted to subspecialize in facial plastic surgery.
Right.
With that, I also did a fellowship with Professor Untitled in Japan, who's one of the greats in cleft lip and palate repair in the world. So I did a fellowship with him and come back. I subsequently board certified with the American Board of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery. So in the last 19 or almost 20 years of practice, my main practice is always about 80% of them in facial plastic, reconstructive, 20% on head and neck, doing cancers and stuff. And I do a number of secondary repair cleft lip in Canada, which I like to challenge. So I thought that is my passion.
Well, coming up after the break, we'll ask Dr. Wong about his Smile China project. You're watching One-on-One with Dr. Joseph Wong. Dr. Wong, you have the Smile China project.
Yes.
That's like your baby there.
My little baby, yes.
Tell us, what is the Smile China project?
Well, Smile China project is a federally registered Canadian charity. It's in fact the first or probably the only Canadian charity that is with a mission to do to repair facial deformities such as cleft lip and palate in remote parts of China solely at this time. The whole idea started off when I was thinking that the stage of my practice, my mortgage pay off, kids growing up, not yet in trouble, maybe I'd like to do something.
Right.
And I met with a few friends in Toronto. We all spontaneously, and Mississauga, we all spontaneously gathered together and wanted to do something. So we formed Smile China, and we started our first mission in 2001. And we, it's a very humble beginning. Myself, took 2 OR nurses from Credit Valley Hospital to go to 2 remote cities in China, Kunming as well as Liuzhou. And we did about over 30 cases, and we teach the local doctors. And I find it very fulfilling, and it's an one in a lifetime experience. So and then I had a first-hand experience of the demand of this service and the enthusiasm of the local medical community of having us going back. So on our way back and the plane, I kind of promised myself I like to continue to do that. So since then, since 2001 to this year's 2006, Smile China project has grown gradually and with momentum. We have, for instance, this next team we're going in October the 14th. We have 15 team members with 8 surgeons. Many of them are American, very renowned American facial plastic surgeons. We have a whole bunch of OR nurses from Credit Valley Hospital, and we hope to do 100 this time in 2 weeks. The special meaning of this trip in October is that we wanted to fulfill what Premium McGuinty had promised China in last year's trade mission to Jiangsu, that there will be a humanitarian component to the trade, and that Smile China will commit to that component by sending a humanitarian team to Jiangsu, who is our sister province, to commemorate the 20-year of friendship.
Why do you feel that this cleft surgery that you're doing is so important to children?
Now, first of all, this is the second most common congenital deformity in children, other than clubfoot. So in Asian, about 1 in 550 child will have that.
Right.
In China, we're looking about 30 million newborn every year. There were about over 40,000 new cases. Let's assume 90% of them are being done. But in really remote part of China, where China is implementing this market-oriented healthcare system, very few people can afford like 10,000 Chinese dollars to have this repair, where they don't even have enough food on the table. The drawback of carrying on a deformity like that is, one, there's a facial deformity. It's very hard for a girl to walk to school without people throwing stones to them.
Right.
2 is there's a language impediment, and 3 is affecting the swallowing, ear infections, etc.
Right.
Now, a 2 to 4 hours surgery can totally have this repair, and with very little follow-up that ready to do.
Well, I'm sure you're making a lot of children smile along with their parents. Coming up after the break, we have lots more with Dr. Joseph Wong. That's a sec. You're watching One-on-One with Dr. Joseph Wong. Dr. Wong, I know that the children that you operate on for the cleft palate surgery, obviously you're changing their lives, you're transforming them, and I'm sure the parents are very grateful to you. But you, as a physician, as a doctor, and as a human being, what do you get out of this?
You know, Bina, I think I learned more from these kids and from Smile China, the project alone, than what I can give to them. I learned of the courage of these kids going out under day-to-day scrutiny. I learned of the relentless support and love of their parents, and that they have to, despite all odds, to bring up a child with this deformity in a little village, and the continued support of the child. And what I can give them back to them is that I hope that they understand that there's actually other people in the world that care about them.
Right.
That there's hope at the end, and hopefully one day when they grow up, they can help other people. So it's a very simple message, and it has been very rewarding for everybody involved. All my teammates, every time we were there, they're all very moved. They all wanted to go back, and everybody had tears in their eyes when we depart at the end.
We hope this project continues on and grows and grows. But in addition to this, you're still involved in the community in so many different ways. The Chinese Business Association, Professional Association, the Yihang Wellness Foundation. What's your involvement in that?
Right. Well, I'm a community person. When I live in Mississauga, I certainly have would like to be part of the community, and I think that's how we live. We wanted to share our expertise. We wanted to share our passion. We wanted to make sure everything will work out the best to make the best community to live in. We started off by having fundraising for Credit Valley Hospital, for instance, for the Trillium Health Center. And we have to celebrate the millennium in Mississauga. And we form. I'm one of the co-chairs. Me and Mr. Andre Mack had co-founded the Mississauga Board of Chinese Professionals and Businesses. It's called CPB, and CPB has been instrumental in carry out a large number of activities, including our Health Expo, the Living Arts Center, Chinese Festival, the Phoenix Ball, many activities that we have different groups. And Yihong was an urgency at the time because the waiting list for Chinese elderly is very long, and we found that there is really no service in the Peel region. So me and Andre Mack took up the role as the co-chair of the Peel Regional Capital Campaign. And we were able to raise $8 million in 3 years, and now we have a beautiful Yihong Geriatric Care Center on off Britannia Road, and it's and we're very proud to see that that's actually happened, and it's already full now.
Why do you feel it's important to be involved in the community?
Well, life is about living. All right, I always use this as an analogy to my kid. I said, like, listen, life is like riding a train. There's a destiny. Everybody have to get off at the end. It'd be silly if you jump off the train ahead of time. But you can just sit by the train and read your book, and nobody will ever know you ever exist. Or you can get up and go around. There's a lot of things to see in this train, first class, second class. If you're a nice person, you help other people.
Right.
If you're a bad person, you bully other people. But ultimately, you're the only one who have to ride this train. Nobody can do it for you.
So I guess you're enjoying this train ride that you're on. And after the break, we have lots more with Dr. Joseph Wong.
儿童是很重要啊，小孩子是中国人将来的希望，是不是啊？
是的，
这个是
非常的感谢。
不用了，感谢。OK。
You're watching One on One with Dr. Joseph Wong. Dr. Wong, plastic surgery has become so popular now. You've got all these shows like Extreme Makeover, The Swan.
Right.
How much pressure do you think there is on society, on all of us, to look good and stay young looking?
Well, I tell you, Bina, I've never imagined the day that I would see Lips and Tucks and Extreme Makeover in primetime TV when I was a resident. But I guess, in all fairness, we do understand that in human nature is to want to look the best, and they don't want to get old, and you know, we have youth potions for thousands of years. But because of the media exposure, now it becomes more like a business. Then that's what bothers most of us who are in legitimate business. I don't personally endorse Swan or Extreme Makeover, because I think that, first of all, they try to give the public an image that somebody should go in for multiple procedure and to solve and change her to somebody else so that she will be happy. That's not, and Swan is even worse. At the end, it was a loser, no matter how much you have gone through. Now, that's not about plastic surgery. Plastic cosmetic surgery is about improving what you have, and there are things that happen with aging or happens with you have some inborn areas that wasn't aesthetically pleasing, and there was a scientific way of correcting it as a personal choice, and and most of my patients have to really understand what we wanted to do and be well informed. That doing cosmetic or plastic surgery on them is basically improve what they have and not changing them to another individual. One, two is they also have to understand that aging is a natural process. We're not. They should age gracefully,
Right.
but they should not be thinking that they should always look 18. As far as other deformities, such as if they have, certain areas on their body, on their nose or whatever, face, that make them look awkward, and they're conscious about it, and if there's a scientific way of correcting it without without affecting the health,
Right.
and if that change will end up to be very natural appearing, and I don't personally disagree of people choosing to have this done, because in fact that's what we're here for, to scientifically to take up a challenge and do things that make certain people's life better.
Well, Dr. Wong, you've been very successful in your career. You're also very active in the community. You've done a lot of work for other people. How do you spend your family time?
Well, I spend every bit of my off-work time with my family as much as I can. When the kids were really younger, of course, we've gone on to a lot of holidays and do a lot of things together. They're a little older now, so I guess I spend more time with my wife.
Which is a good thing, I think.
Which is a good thing. In fact, my wife wanted me to retire, but I thought I was a little
Premature.
too young to do that. I think my wife is probably the best person that I've ever had in my life. She's a very understanding woman. We can talk. She's a dentist herself, but she's willing to kind of give up her career and brought up my two very loving children. And my children were a little older now. We're at a stage that we can spend more time together. And she still works part-time. So, everything seems to have worked out quite well. We don't fancy a lot of frivolous things.
Right.
My daughter refused me to buy her a Chanel bag because she doesn't think it's important. And we small pleasures.
So you
Life
keep
is about small
everything in
pleasures.
checks and balances. Well, I thank you for being my guest here on One-on-One today. And
Thank
we
you.
wish you continued success in your career, and I'm sure we'll see you around in the community.
Thank you very much.
That wraps up another episode of One-on-One. I hope to see you next time.